Hello guys, welcome to the 6th tutorial on Android app development. Today we'll be learning the concept of Android intent, which is divided into two parts, that is implicit and explicit. Along with that, we'll also be learning the concept of ListView and GridView. So let me first explain what an intent is. Intent in Android is used for communicating between two components, or you can say if we want to move from one page to another or transfer data from one page to another. For that purpose we use intent in Android. Now, as I said, it is divided into two parts, that is implicit and explicit. Implicit intent, what it does is it takes help of other components. Let's take an example. So if I want to open one website, so what implicit intent will do is it will take help of Google Chrome to open the website. So for that purpose we use implicit intent, whereas explicit intent, it uses the same application component only. It does not take help from any other component. So if I want to move from one page to another, so I'll be using explicit intent. Now let's see this intent with the help of an example. So here you can see I have already created one project. So I'll be simply creating the design for implicit intent. That is the first program which we are going to run. So I'll create the ID. I'll give the width. I'll give the hint. So enter URL. So I'll bring it in center. Let me change the text color to black, and let's give some size, so 20. Now the next thing what I'll create is one button. So I'll give the ID. I'll give some text to this button. Let's say navigate. I'll bring it below my edit text and I'll bring it in center. So my design is ready. So we'll move to our Java component. So here I'll write the code for the implicit intent. So the first thing what I'll be doing is I'll be initializing or creating an object for both the things, that is button and edit text. Now I'll find the ID. So equal to, so I found the ID for edit text. Now for button we'll find the ID. So I'll create set on click listener. So the thing is done. Now the first thing I'll do is I'll create one string object. So I'll store it inside this object known as URL, which I have created. Here what I'll do is so what I have done here is whatever value an user will enter in the edit text, I will store that in this URL. So in edit text, let's say user has entered some URL that is of some website, so that will get stored in this URL. So for that purpose I have created this. Now I'll create an intent. So the object is I, new intent. Now here I will call something as action view. Now this action view will help me to run my or to get the desired data which I have requested. So my desired data will be the URL. It will help other component to run my desired data. That will be URI. So I'll parse it and give the string which I have created. So now here I have stored my URL address, and this action view will take that data and help other component to retrieve it. So for that purpose I have used this. Now I'll start the activity, that is this object where I have stored the data. So my coding is done and my design is also done. We will run this and check. So Gradle build has started. So our app is getting installed. Now you can see the app is installed successfully. Now I'll give the address, that is URL address. So let's say http so www.techcoders.in. now this implicit intent will force other component to open this URL. So when I click on this navigate, you can see the other component, that is Chrome, is receiving the data which I have sent, that is URL address, and it's opening me or opening that particular website. So this is the purpose of implicit intent. Now the next one is explicit intent. So explicit intent works within an application. That means we don't request any other component to open our thing. So here in this program of explicit intent, what we'll do is we will move from one page to another. So the first thing I'll do is I'll add one activity. So I'll go to new activity and select empty activity. Now here you can see both Java file as well as XML file is created. So I'll click on finish. So my file has been added. So I'll go to my first page, that is activity main. In place of this edit text, I'll create one text view. So in this text view I'll simply print one message only, that is this is my this is my first activity. So I'll solve this. So here I'll give TV. So below this only it will come. Now next thing is I'll use center in parent. I'll give the ID as TV. Okay, now it is accepted. Now I'll give the text size as 25. I'll give some text color, let's say black. So our first page design is ready. We'll move to the second page. Now I'll change this layout from constant to relative. So here I'll create one simple text view in which I'll print the message as this is my second activity. So I'll bring it down. Okay, so my design is ready now. So we'll be moving from this page to second page with the help of intent. So I'll go to my main activity and I'll remove this. Next thing what I'll do is I'll remove this because this is not used now. So in place of this I'll use TV and I'll initialize TV. I'll change the ID. So actually we don't require this, so I'll remove this because we are simply printing one message. Okay, so here I'll use the concept of intent itself. So intent I equal to, I'm creating an object for intent. So here at first I'll mention the page name in which I am right now, and from here I want to move to the second page name, that is of class file. Java files are basically class files itself. So now I'll start the activity and call the object. So here our coding is done. What I have done is I have given the page name, that is I am in main activity. I want to move from main activity to main 2 activity, which is my second page. Now I'll run this. So I'm checking for errors. So it's still running. So if there is no error, then we'll run this program. So I think there is no error. Okay, no error found. Now what I'll do is I'll run this and show you the output, how we move from one page to another. So our app is installed. So you can see this is my first activity. Now when I click on this button, I have moved to my second activity. So this was a simple example of explicit intent. So I hope you guys understood the concept of explicit as well as implicit intent. Now we'll move on to our next topic, that is ListView and GridView. Now let me first explain what is ListView and what is GridView. Now this ListView is a component, or you can say it is a view, which is used to display items in a multiple rows. So row wise it will display our items, whereas GridView is used to display our items in two-dimensional view or two-dimensional grid. So ListView in one dimension only and GridView in 2 dimension. ListView and GridView both uses the concept of adapter to show the list. So that's what we'll be using. So in place of this, I'll move to my first page. So here what I'll do, I'll create an ListView. So height I'll give as 400 dp. So now here what I'll do is I'll give the ID to this ListView ID, and here in this ID I will initialize it. So I'll mention the ID name, that is LV here. Okay, now you can see my list view is ready. It is showing the list in row dimension. So below that I have one button. Now why I have created this button is because when I click on this, I'll move to second page and there I'll design the concept of grid view. So here we will simply design or use grid view. So I'm doing both the programs together. So here I'll create the ID for this grid view. So GV, here I have created the ID. Now next thing what I'll do is, the main attribute is num columns. So here, as I said, it will have multiple columns. So I want 4 columns in my grid view. So that's what I have mentioned. Now you can see it is divided into 4 columns. So both our design, that is of list view and grid view, is done. So we'll start the coding. So just below this I'll do the coding for list view. So let me initialize it, list view. I'll call this find view by ID r.id dot list view. So it has been initialized. So this much is done. Now the next thing what I'll do is, I'll create one string object in which I will store all the values which I want in my list. So here I'll create that list and the object name, let's say city. So inside this I will mention all the cities. So let's say I will mention around 5 cities. So okay, now let's say Gangtok, Namchi, Ravangla, Pakyong, Rongli. So these are the city which I have included in my string. Now I'll keep this intent because I want to move from first page to second page, so I won't touch this. So next thing what I'll do is, I will use the concept of adapter. As I said, list uses the concept of adapter. Now this adapter, why it is used is to store the information whichever we are using. So let me create this adapter first. So I'll create one array adapter and give the object name as adapter itself, equal to new array adapter, and I'll mention I'm using this page itself. Then I will select the layout. So layout will be simple list item 1, and I'll initialize the string object which I have created. So this thing is done. Now I will set it with my list view. So list view dot set adapter and my adapter name, that is adapter. So our adapter has been set. So as I was telling, this adapter is basically used to store all the informations. You can see it works as a rich medium. So our values which I have created or stored in string will get stored in this adapter, and I am attaching that adapter with my list view so that it gets displayed in the list view. Now we will check if our string values are being displayed in the list or not. So our app is installed. Now you can see all our components are there along with the button. Now if I click on this, I won't get anything because I haven't done the coding in the next page. So now when I'm clicking on this, now the message or the selected city is not getting displayed or printed. So let's do that first, then we'll move to GridView program. So to do that, I'll simply create one set listener. So set on item click listener, this is what I'll be using. So I'll use it with adapter view. Now here I will give the toast message which will print my value. So I'll use then I'll call the city along with position. Then I'll select the length for the toast. So I'm selecting long. Now I'll click on show. Now this application context simply means I'm referring to this particular page itself. In place of this, you can also use main activity.this. So it's up to us. Whatever we are comfortable in, we can use that. So now on click listener or select on item listener is also done. Now we can select and print the item. So once it's installed, so now you can see I'm selecting Gangtok. So Gangtok is being printed. So I'll select Namchi. So you can see it's displaying me whatever I am selecting or clicking on. So that's what we did out here. Now in main activity 2, I'll do the same thing, that is creating the string object. So string, let's say bank names. So I'll mention some bank names, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I have mentioned 7: ICICI, PNB, SBI, Union, HDFC, then let's say Allahabad Bank, and we can use any of the bank names. So ICICI, PNB, SBI, Union, HDFC, Allahabad Bank, let's say Mumbai Bank or something like that. And I'll add one more bank, State Bank of Sikkim, SBS. So I've added several names out here. Now next thing what I'll do is I'll create an object for GridView, GV. I'll find the ID dot GV. I think I have the given name as GV itself. So here again we'll create array adapter. So I'll give the object name new array adapter itself. Page will be this itself. Now I'll be using the layout Android R layout dot simple list item only, and I'll call the string name, that is bank. Now I'll set it. So set the adapter to grid view. Now we'll create the on item click listener. So everything will be same only. So I'll copy this toast message. I'll paste it. So here in place of city, our object name is bank. So I'll call that. Now both our program is ready. So we'll run and check. So it's installed. Now you can see my list view is there. So when I click on this navigate button, I'll move to my grid view. So here you can see my grid view. So when I click on this, it will also display my particular value. So this is a simple example of list view and grid view program. So I hope you guys understood all the concept, that is of implicit, explicit intent, as well as list view and grid view. So if you have any questions, any doubts, you can simply write it on the comment section below, or you can message me. Thank you for watching.